One of the things that makes caviar so exclusive is you can't produce a lot of it. And of course the taste is very unique. Maybe a hint of the ocean to it, but not an overbearing saltiness taste to it. It just should hit your taste buds and it actually explodes up into your taste buds and you get this wow sensation. When you open up a tin of caviar, you want to see perfection. Caviar is from sturgeon. It's the eggs from sturgeon. In the last 10 years, we've gone almost from 100% wild product coming from the Caspian Sea to almost 100% farm product worldwide. With an 8 to 10 year production cycle, the economics is rather difficult, so there's not very many sturgeon farms in California or in the United States. Sterling Caviar is one of 2 companies here in California producing caviar right now. Sterling Caviar raises the white sturgeon, which is one of the 2 native species to California. It's basically a prehistoric fish. It's been around about 250 million years, virtually unchanged. Back in the 1800s, they wiped out the European stocks. They moved here to North America, and in a span of 30 years, they wiped out the North American stocks. Here in California, they were harvesting millions of pounds in the late 1800s. The Klamath River, the Sacramento River, and they went back to the Caspian Sea, and with the breakup of the Soviet Union, there was rampant poaching, and they've wiped out the stocks in the Caspian Sea now, and so we're forced to farm the fish. One of the surprising things about sturgeon is how many eggs they have. So these fish can have anywhere from 10 to 20% of their body weight in eggs. So when you cut the fish open, what you're seeing is a lot of eggs laying on the inside. The ovaries, there's 2 ovaries that run down the full length of the inside of the female. And those, as they develop, close up against the belly flap, and when you cut the fish open, a beautiful fish is you see nothing but eggs. You don't even see any of the internal organs. Of these hundreds of thousands of eggs, only 2 to 5 will survive to maturity. So when you over-harvest, it can impact the resource very quickly, and that's what happened. Our average size when we harvest is about 80 pounds, which they reach in about 8 years of age. In the Caspian Sea, they've documented fish that were over 4,000 pounds. Once the eggs are removed, we then process the fish. Most of that is frozen and goes to overseas markets. The ovaries then go over to the caviar processing side. The ovary is the organ that produces the eggs. It's like grapes on a vine, and you've got to separate the grapes from the stems. They're rubbing the ovary over the screen, and the eggs are dropping through. They then take that to the egg washing station. Caviar can be very blonde. Historically, if there was blonde, it belonged to like the Tsar or the Shah of Iran. We haven't found that light of color here yet, but we get some very light colors and we get some very dark colors.
We have to let them sit to let them dry, and then we salt them, and then we let them dry for about another 10 minutes. Then I grate it. What I'm looking for is a large egg and a good pop. When you put it on your tongue and you push it against the roof of your mouth, does it pop? And if it's not like that, I call it soft. It's still good, it just doesn't have that pop that we're looking for. Soft. Soft. We've only had 1 classic and 1 royal today. Classic is a firm, small egg, and a royal is a large, firm egg.
There were a lot of orange dots, which means that they were missing the firmness, because at the end of the season, the female starts to let go of the eggs and the firmness starts to give.
We want a buttery flavor to a nutty flavor. It's a soft egg, no off flavors. It has a slight algae flavor, but I think it'll go away within the 3 months that it'll get its flavor. So I'm not really worried about it right now. So I'm just gonna call it soft.
Historically, everybody tended to think about beluga, osetra, and cervuga caviar as the only caviars available. Those are caviars from different species of sturgeon down in the Caspian Sea. Beluga is no longer available in the United States. It's been banned because of the Endangered Species Act. Sterling caviar came along just at a time when the stocks in the Caspian Sea were starting to diminish. We like to think that sterling caviar is one of the best known and one of the best caviars. The New York Times back in the early 2000s did a blind taste test in our caviar against Caspian Sea products from the wild, and we came out on top. We have 4 sites. This facility here, the oldest fish here is only 4 years old. We landed up here in Sacramento for 3 reasons. A lot of the research that's been done on sturgeon has been done at University of California at Davis because of a Russian scientist that got a grant to see if he could reproduce the sturgeon just as they did in Russia for restocking purposes. And we're here in the Central Valley where there's a good water supply in the wells, and it's of the appropriate temperature that gives us the fast growth that we need. We were close to the Sacramento River where there's a natural stock of sturgeon, and we got permits from Fish and Game to originally go get the stock. We don't go back to the wild to collect any more spawning stock. We do it all from the stock that we have developed on the farms. And that's what makes us sustainable in the eyes of the environmental community, that we are not affecting the resource at all. And all the tanks are basically above ground. The fish meal is composed of mainly sardines or menhaden. A lot of it's coming from Chile or Peru, where there's a well-managed, sustainable fisheries for it. All the stocks in the ocean are at their maximum sustained yield. You can't increase the supply out of the oceans without destroying the resource. 100 years from now, we'll look back at this as a very transitional period that we've really changed from a hunting and gathering society for our seafood to a farming and ranching society for our seafood.